Greetings, Trevor Elliott.
Greetings, my good man. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much, and I hope everything is good with you.
It's a nice sunny afternoon here in Gainesville, Florida, and I hope things are great where you are as well.
Unusually, because it's England, it's actually quite pleasant. It's nice and sunny at the moment where I am, certainly. But yeah, we've been having some good weather. We had as you're aware, we had the royal wedding last weekend. I'm sure you're aware of that. So we had
and what an event that was.
Absolutely amazing for our country, amazing for the world for sure. You know how diverse our royal family can be, and that's a direction, and that's a reflective of the country that I live in, certainly. Yes, but let's get round to you. We digress with small talk. Trevor Elliott, Mr. Musical Ambassador. I've played a couple of your tracks leading up to this. So, yeah. Before, what I normally do, Trevor, is before I get into discussion, is just play some snippets of your work so that to introduce people that aren't familiar with your work or probably heard your work but didn't know it was you, and to reacquaint those that are familiar with your work. So we're going to go right back and then we're going to spring forward, but they're just snippets, and then we'll get into the interview. Is that okay?
Well, I'll just follow your lead, sir.
Okay, blessings.
Precious woman, Princess Flower. She always say, yo, she tougher than a raw. She don't like to stay at home, living on dependency. She says she have to struggle all day, yo, just like a man, Sitting there and wait just to have some faith. Oh yeah, singing good things always come to those who wait. Never be downhearted, Sharon. Just remember, I love you. And don't you be discouraged, cheer up, 'cause I've got to get you. Sitting there while you wait, just to have a little faith. Good things come to those who wait. You. We got to let you want to now be pure and clean. No rally around the red, gold, and green, and being a jumping jelly bean. When you hear this one, you gotta shake a tambourine. Whether you drive a truck or limousine. Say so. Come and say cleanliness, it is a godliness, right? Cleanliness, it is a godliness. You must nasty, tidy before you come a party. Yeah, I'm a star. You too nasty, tidy before you come a party.
Monday a Monday, Tuesday a Tuesday, a Wednesday a Thursday a Thursday, a Friday a Saturday a Sunday 7 days make 1 week. 7 days make 1 week.
Just let it flow and let love grow.
pressure. Oh yes, hard time pressure. Babylon, I put on the pressure. Oh yes, hard time pressure.
Well, let me give you the formal introduction before we start. So, you're a veteran reggae music producer who has worked with the likes of Eddie Fitzroy, Horace Martin, Bob Andy, Sugar Minor, Tony Tuff, Bunny Lai, Michael Prophet, Bucky Joe, Queenie the Empress, Karen Slush, Asante Amen, and many, many more. Too much to mention right here and now. Your products are authentic roots reggae, backed by the best musicians like the Roots Radics and the award-winning Sly and Robbie. Trevor Elliott, Mr. Musical Ambassador, welcome to Chawa Radio.
Well, thank you very much for those kind words, and I want to say greetings to your worldwide listeners, whether it's morning, noon, or afternoon, or evening. This is Trevor Elliott, the musical ambassador, and we'll come here to have some fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get to the heart of it, and give people some background about you. So, what is your country of origin, and where are you currently based?
Well, I'm a little country boy from a little fishing village called Alligator Pond in Manchester, and that would be in Jamaica in the West Indies.
Mm-hmm. And now you're based?
I am in North Florida, a college town by the name of Gainesville, where the University of Florida is situated. Not too far from Jacksonville, not too far from Orlando, and not too far from Tampa.
What I want to know is, how is it that you have got into the music business? I just want to know what's influenced you to be this magnificent producer that you are, and with quite some longevity. In fact, before I say that, Donovan King J is just hailing you up. So blessings, Donovan King J. Bless up, Donovan.
Respect.
Yeah. So, what is? Tell us what your musical influences were as a youngster.
Well, coming up in the ska era, obviously it was the Scatterlights, Bob Marley, Prince Boston, Derek Morgan, Alton Ellis, the Heptones, Desmond Dekker, you name it, Jimmy Cliff. All of those stellar veteran artists influenced me in some way or another.
So, and those were the sounds that you would obviously hear on the radio, and we know the traveling sound systems were big in those days. I'm not sure whether you, whether you went to any sound systems back in the day when you were a youngster in Jamaica. How did things wash over you? How did that play out when you were a youngster?
Well, I used to get enough beating from my mother because I used to sneak out of the house, and there used to be a set I used to follow named El Susie Agogo, and I lived in Duane Park, and they used to play down in New Haven or Washington Garden, and that's where I got my musical satisfaction, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when I grew to be a man and have my car, I used to go follow Gemini Sound with Johnny Ringo, and lo and behold, I would end up producing my ace DJ when I started out in the business.
Yeah, I want to get round to Johnny Ringo, because actually he was one of my favorite DJs back in the 80s, back in the height of the dancehall era. I just loved his presentation. He was just amazing, and he actually stood out from many other MCs or DJs or whatever you want to call them. He stood out. He had a unique style, which I really did like. And let me just deal with that as we mentioned his name. What I liked about Johnny Ringo was his diction. He wanted to make sure you heard every word. As a producer, how did you find that?
Well, that was very uncanny and amazing. His delivery was second to none. He is a very intelligent DJ. He actually wrote lyrics for himself, for Lone Ranger, and the late General Echo. Some are on the blue side, if you get my drift. Mm-hmm. But yes. Like I said, Johnny Ringo was a very intelligent DJ. He could reel a story and tell a story with the best of them.
Yes, yes, and that's what I liked about that era. The storytelling, that some of the DJs, Professor Nuts, Brigadier Jerry, and those sorts of DJs from back in those days. Well, let's even go back to as you mentioned, General Echo. Oh my goodness, what a storyteller! General.
But it's a sex educational class.
Oh my goodness.
Sex educational class. You have to report to the boss. Johnny Ringo said, "Life in a jailhouse no sweet.
Yes.
You have to rough it on the cold concrete.
Yeah,
Chat to other guy, kick out your teeth."
Now, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, some ton big time DJ down my youth.
Right,
just like give you a little example,
right. You know where I'm going now. You.
The versatile Trevor Elliott, also known as King Bassa.
Don't test, and we're gonna play a King Bassa in a little while because it's one of the questions I put to you. It's tempting to when you're rubbing shoulders with all those talented individuals to want to see. Obviously, you probably tried it before you got into the big producing thing, but to see, if you could stand shoulder to shoulder with them on there, even as a singer. Now you've let off something to me which I'll play in a short while as a DJ. So tell me about the singing part. Did that ever rub off on you?
Well, I know my limitations. I stay on the other side of the glass, and singing and DJ was not my forte until a virgin from over in Holland sent me a track, and he said, "Trevor, I want you to DJ something on this." And I said, "You have got to be kidding me. If I want a DJ, I can call Ray I can call Joseph Cotton. I mean, I have a load of DJs at my disposal." He said, "No, I heard you did a special for Prince Theory on the Drifter Rhythm a couple of years back, and I know you have it." So he sent me the rhythm, and the rest is history.
Oh my
because
goodness,
not only did I amaze myself, DJs like you, Brown, and Rhea, everybody calling me and say, "Welcome to the club, my youth. You sound like Joseph Wheels, turning off for watch himself."
Yes.
Because every morning that I rise, I give Judge a praise for opening my eyes. Every morning that I rise, I give Judge a praise for opening my eyes. Pull me ear and me brush my teeth. Because John the Son say you have to look neat.
Right. So that was the audition for any promoters out there who was looking for us and wanted to do a festival. Trevor Elliott is versatile and can come from round at the desk and the production side, and he can entertain you at one of your live festivals. You see?
Well, after I did that one, I wanted a follow-up really quick to show people that wasn't a fluke. That might have started as a joke.
Yes.
But the King Bassa ain't no joke. So I have one said, "No touch my style," say, "Don't touch my style." Cause King Bassa him wake it down wild. Favorite singer that the sugar mine not. Quench your thirst with a water coconut. Tell you that my love is true. I will never, never make you blue. Find you a four-leaf clover. Jump across the white cliffs of Dover. Driving on the Lone Ranger. I tell you, wicked and wild, my youth.
You know what? As you was doing that, as I'm going to play something to my listeners. King Bassa, "No Touch Me Style."
So when I was a youth, my granny used to tell me this: when a lion is sleeping, never you try to wake him. No touch my style, say don't touch my style. Cause King Bassa him wicked and wild. No touch my style, say don't touch my style. Cause King Bassa wicked and wild. My favorite singer that is Sugar My Nut. Quench my thirst with a water coconut. Tell you that my love is true. I will never, never make you blue. Find you a four-leaf clover. Climb the white cliffs of Dover. Driving on my Range Rover. The man them say me sound like Lone Ranger. No Nothing is impossible to me, to me. I swim across the desert and I walk on the sea. Nothing is impossible to me, to me. I swim across the desert and I walk on the sea. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Say. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Every morning that I rise, I give Jaja thanks for opening my eyes. Every morning that I rise, I give Jaja thanks for opening my eyes. Comb me ear and me brush me teeth. Say Jaja son, say you have to look neat. Comb me ear and me brush me teeth. Say Jaja son, say you have to look neat. Go to the kitchen and me scald 2 egg. Make some busy teeth and make me redder than red. Start up me car and me put it in a gear. Say dirty Babylon, you have to beware. Start up me car and me put it in a gear. Say dirty Babylon, you better beware. Bubble me a bubble, say me nah look no trouble. Soul Prof, all-star, rhythm and the double. Jerry King at the control tower. Mix me down every minute of it.
Yes. King Bassa, we expose you though. We expose you.
Yeah, there ain't no turning back. I've been unmasked.
So we're going to keep it rolling. I'm going to go right back and take you to Eddie Fitzroy. Tell us about your connection with Eddie Fitzroy.
Well, Eddie Fitzroy was one of those professional artists that was well prepared when he came to the studio, didn't waste time with frivolities. The musicians loved him. Roots Radics revered him because of his work ethic and because obviously he had some lyrics. So the first session we ran, we had Youth Man Penitentiary, African Queen, Mr. Bandulo, and the Monster Check For You Once. That was the foundation for the Check For You Once album that was released in 1980. And to say that made Eddie Fitzroy an international artist would be a great understatement.
Let me tell you, Eddie's style, his vocals were unique, and he stood out amongst the pack. You know, obviously I didn't know you back in those days, and I've got many of your productions on vinyl. And you know, Eddie was one. There was a few artists who've had a unique style. Obviously, one is Eka Mouse and various other people, but he stood out. He did stand out. So I'm gonna play as you mentioned, check for you once. I'm gonna play that now, and then we'll come back and have a chat after this.
Whoa, girl, I love you so. I take for you once, little girl. I take for you twice, little girl. It seems like you never stays at home, girl. I take you at your home late last night. I thinking everything would be alright. When I didn't see you, I feel uptight, girl. I take for you once, little girl. I take for you twice, little girl. It seems like you never stays at home, girl. Whoa, girl. Come on with me tonight. Whoa, girl. Remember when we were in school? We used to sit down together. We used to play together. Say that is the time I always remember.
can come model with me. I know any girl can come smile with me. Your teeth are be pretty. Cap up a ringo in a bigger category. Bim, girls, hey, love won't come easy. No, don't think it's easy. No, love won't come easy. Girl, no matter how my mama say, girl, you've got to try. All girls with all your mind, right? Hey, 'cause that is the right thing to do. So hear me now. Bim, say I know any girl can come muggle with me. I know any girl can come muggle with me. Them have to act intelligently. Hey, cap up a ring up in a bigger category. Bim, 'cause when I was a youth, I was no fool. Because my mother used to send me go to good school. While growing up, I went to primary. It was necessary, so I got to secondary. Then passed in the JSC. The next thing you know, me step it out of KC. So little after that, me want a higher degree. So man, me have to get it up at university.
Gonna keep it rolling, 'cause Trevor has got so much music, so we're just going to keep it rolling. Going to try and do as much as we can with playing some of your productions. So we just heard Eddie Fitzroy followed by Johnny Ringo. So that's something that producers did back in the day, recycling rhythms.
Yeah, that started kind of in the 80s where you would have a one rhythm compilation and you know, because of economics, I guess, and because of the fact that DJs, radio DJs, they would love to have 2-3 combination on the same rhythm. So that has continued up until now. It's not as prevalent as it was before, but it's still in vogue. It's still in vogue because I do it, although I must confess that I frowned on it one part of my career and said enough already. 12 rhythm, 12 tune for one rhythm.
Yes.
Enough already. But you know, I think I draw the line at like 5 or 6.
Yes. So let's go back. Tell us how you got started in the music business. Let's go back to that part.
Okay, well, I worked at the Jamaica Information Service / Agency for Public Information, API, back in the day, and we used to have a show called the Jamaica Connection. Now, the Jamaica Connection, it was a 15-minute show that was aired on RJR from 3:15 to 3:30, and it basically had reggae music with community bulletins, and you know, say somebody is having a showdown in Denby, in Maypen, we would mention that, and then we'd play some music. Another thing is that the music has to be kind of current and has a message. Case in point is whenever, you know, you live in Jamaica, so hurricane season is a must every year, okay?
Yes.
So we'd read a bulletin about a storm that's coming, and I would play a song like, "Storm is coming, I'm preaching it to you, Juna Delgado. And after a storm, there must be a calm, Gregory Isaacs, and deliverance will come. You know, D. Brown." So, you know, my job was to go and search to all of the record outlets to get music. And Thursday was my day. I start at the bottom of Orange Street down at Miss Sonia Pottinger. And I go all the way up Beat Street, Joe Gibbs, Rondé, Sonic Sound, you know, Sugar Mine at Youth Promotion, Augustus Pablo's label Cash and Carry, and then I take them back to Jazz, and we set up a record library, and that's where the musical ambassador started out. Sugar Mine he asked me if I wanted a cut of a rhythm because we were good friends, and he said, you know, you need to try a thing, man. Mikey Dread was doing really well up at JBC at that time. Dread Up with Control was in full effect. So I got a cut of the Storm rhythm, and I put a youngster by the name of General Plow from Barbican. General Plow used to sing on a song called Creation, and I want to big up Staffy, the owner of Creation. And that gentleman was very, very helpful to me in my formative years. You know, telling me, which studio one tune them about mash up the dance hall. So if I want to lick over a rhythm, I can lick even less or whatever it was.
Yes.
So that's how I got started. You asked, I think, off the air about my label. I created a label called Musical Ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the late Mikey Dread actually gave me that name. He said, "Who you think you are, the Musical Ambassador?" And,
okay.
you know, that's how I got started. And you know, did my own distribution because I didn't have any reference point in the business at that stage. So I couldn't go to Sonic Sound or Dynamic and say, okay, I have some labels and I have a stamper. Would you press 100 record for me?
Uh-huh.
So what I did, I pressed like 100 of each and go down to Randy's and drive around and distributed them myself. There was a lady in Almontown that used to buy records for Hawkeye.
Right.
And she would take 50 and Mr. Palmer would take 50. And that's how it got into the pre-release, the Black Echoes pre-release chart over in the UK.
The
and,
UK, yes.
Yeah, you know, and that's how you started collecting little Musical Ambassador label from out of Jamaica.
Yeah. So okay. So we're going back to Mr. Palmer then with Jetstar. So how did you make those connections with Jetstar? They were present in Jamaica?
Well, Mr. Neverly from Sonic Sounds used to purchase material for Mr. Palmer.
On behalf.
And he would ship it.
Okay, right.
Yeah, on behalf of Mr. Palmer. And when I went to the UK in '82, I met Mr. Palmer for the first time, a great gentleman. I digress a little bit. I met Mr. Tony Williams, who gave me an interview on Sunday afternoon on his show.
Yeah, rest in peace, Tony.
A great guy who has done yeoman's work for the reggae community. So, like I said, that's how I got started, doing my own distribution. And I got a cut of a quarter pound of Isham's rhythm from Enos McLeod Musso.
Mm-hmm.
And put General Flow, and he had a song called Backbiter, and that was probably our biggest grassroots hit.
Well, if you stop right there, Trevor, because I've got Backbiter lined right up now with General Flow, and we're gonna play that and come back.
Don't know what to say, Mr. Wicked wouldn't know what you wouldn't do. You Mr. Wicked man, you come to my shop to play. Java righteous play. Oh yeah, Mr. Babylon man. You Mr. Babylon man. Where you gonna run? Where you gonna hide? Think that the right time come. It a go trade up on song. It a go trade up on song. Oh yeah, we got the right.
Spread out and scatter. Can't just see the musical ambassadors getting hotter and hotter. All kind of people come and dance, bang with it. All kind of people come and dance. Cause some come in at the dance by one dragon. Them buy it from 9 until 1:30. All kind of people come and dance, bang with it. All kind of people come and dance. But Sicilian, you must want discipline. Sicilian, you must want discipline. Cause Jackie Lynch is just a swimming at the rhythm. Sharon a must twang, you the twang. Come me say all kind of people come and dance. Bang Willie, all kind of people come and dance. Cause some come in at the dance just to hear me DJ and live for me lyrics by the very next day. But pity them no know me sweeter than a bunch of grape. Feel me lyrics to the people coulda never escape. All kind of people come and dance. Bang Willie, all kind of people come and dance. Better than them, better than them, better than them, Rougher than them, rougher than them, rougher than them. Tougher than them, tougher than them, tougher than them, Crisper than them, crisper than them, crisper than them. All kind of people come and dance. Bang with it. All kind of people come and dance. Me a visa dry land tourist. Sicilian you must be warm discipline. Sharana must be twang, you the twang. You never know me as a top DJ man. Girl.
Wow. DJ Daps in the chat room saying, tune! Remind me of the good old days.
Nice,
Dears.
my selector. Cause Jackie Lynch in just a swimming on the rhythm. Sharana must be twang, you the twang.
Oh my
You never
goodness.
know King Bassa as a big DJ, man. Hey, you know, I tease Joseph Cotton now and said, you know, I can go to the studio now and I can touch your style and my
Yes.
because I mean, not touch my style is part of his thing,
That's
you know.
right,
And
that's
I said, you know, I have promoted you for so many years, so it's time for me to start take away some of those lyrics from back in the days. And we have a good time. And he's my vocal coach. He sent me lyrics, and one of my number one promoter and number one guidance and, you know, example and mentor, all of that thing put together.
Bless up Joseph Cotton. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, that's the golden, those tunes are from the golden era of dancehall. I mean, when you listen to those productions, they just, oh my goodness, wow.
Absolutely.
You cannot help.
And there was a kind of an innocence, and there was kind of a novelty to the business back in those days, at least from my perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yes, because you guys were pioneering. You guys were the dancehall scene was, you know, it was just being formed by people like yourself. You were part of that.
And little did I know, you don't really look ahead. You know what I mean? You press a record, it sells 5,000 or whatever, and you put away the stamp. And little bit did I know that 30-odd years later, all my stuff would still be in demand.
And
selling, come on.
Selling big time. Because looking at in terms of music sales stats, the 70s and 80s from a reggae perspective is outselling anything that's made today. Absolutely.
And when you go to Europe, I mean, they don't want to hear nothing about dancehall. By the way, what is dancehall? Don't get me started on that, my youth, because that's a whole separate genre that it is so foreign to me. So, you know, I'm a roots and culture man from day one.
Yes. So, gonna keep it rolling. Horace Martin, tell me about your association with Horace Martin, singer Horace Martin.
Well, Horace Martin came around the same time after General Plow, and Horace Martin has just finished second to Nadine Sutherland in the Tasties contest of that year. I don't remember what year it was now, but Yellow Man was in that mix as well. And we started working together. He had two productions that he had done by himself with some other producer that I released. One is I'll Take You Back Home, and the other one was Saturday Night Jamboree. Now, the first song I produced with Horace was Africa is Calling, and I tell you today, that's like an anthem for him. He goes down to Brazil, he goes down to Mexico, and the people just love that particular song.
And you know what, coincidentally? I've got it lined up. So let's take a listen to this big song of Horace Martin.
My brothers and my sisters, Africa is calling her children. Oh, we have to go and fight for motherland. Oh, Zimbabwe and South Africa too. We have to go and fight for motherland. Marcus say, children of Israel, yes, you have to go and fight for motherland. And we don't want no more of that situation. Antagonistic powers have to go. Revelation time, and she will be free. Only if we go fight for motherland, and she'll be free by 1983. If we go only fight for motherland, African roots is only the truth. She rocks the cradle that needs above all men.
We're in discussion with Trevor Elliott, musical ambassador, right here on Chawa Radio. Philip Gadd says, we were selling musical ambassador by the carton in early days. Ja Walton, Joseph Cotton, when them did there. Gadd 59. And Karen Schloss sending you love there, Trevor.
Well, I want to say big up to Mr. Philip Gadd. I call him the emperor, the mover and the shaker, because that guy is working wonders with his creativeness for his flyers, and he has done yeoman's work on behalf of our production house and the artists that I recommend. So, Mr. Gadd, more power to you, sir. I tip my cap to you.
I want to be concise before I get to my question. Another message coming from Donovan King J. He says, I have enough original music ambassador tunes, vinyl 7-inch from the 80s. This same Horace Martin, Africa Calling, Eddie Fitzroy, etc. So even Donovan King J. Boy, you know, so many of us have vinyl from you, Trevor, from back in the day.
The ultimate, what you say, praise. I got a letter from a gentleman over in Holland, and he could tell me the different color that I use for all of my productions from back. Yeah, man, I'm saying all kind of people come down, came in like an orange color, and then you have Love the People Want was on a green label, and the Backbiter was on a blue label. I says, you have got to be kidding, my youth.
And
you are a poster child for a collection. You know what I mean?
And I bet you couldn't remember the color of them.
Of course not. The only way I remembered was when I go on the discography or disco thing, and they showed. I said he was absolutely correct.
My goodness, yes. So what I want to do is just get into a bit more detail and find out exactly what you did. Because yes, you had a record label, but what did you do? What was your role? Just give us an outline of what it is you did. We heard about the Flatfoot hustling. You would go out and you would distribute your records. But in terms of recording and the whole process of putting music out there, what was Trevor Elliott's role?
Well, my role was to book studio time, and back in the 80s, early 80s, Roots Radics were the cat's meow. I mean, they had just finished the Rock and Groove album with Jabi, Bonnie Whaler. They had worked on they always work with Gregory Isaac. So
Mm-hmm.
I made some arrangement with Bongo Herman, and we set up the session. And that was the first session I alluded to earlier in the conversation. My job was just to do, just like a CEO, just keep everything fresh. And I also used Sly and Robbie for one session. The Princess Black was backed by Sly and Robbie and his crew,
Okay.
and the gun. Those are the three number ones that Eddie and myself had. The
Mm-hmm.
gun,
Mm-hmm.
Check for Your Once, and Princess Black, and they're all three different sets of musicians, which is testament to the fact that variety is the spice of life in a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sense. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I would get everything together, and back in the day, you have to be logging your 24 tracks to the studio, and
Mm-hmm.
now it is so amazingly different. This digital age, you have a little memory card.
Yes.
You stick it in the computer, and you put it in your pocket, and that control or contain millions of data files. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just talking about those big reel-to-reel tapes. Um, Jamaica is a hot country. Um, Plastic, acetate, they don't do well in Jamaica. How did you manage to maintain the quality of your tapes? And
Well, you have to try and keep it in a cool environment under your bed in your closet would be one. But then again, you run into the whole thing of mildewing because with the moisture,
yes.
and the other thing is that the oxide on the tape would disintegrate.
Hmm.
But fortunately, when I came to the States in '84, I had the foresight to start transferring all those 24 tracks onto some digital form.
Right.
I got
Okay.
some A tapes from back in those days, and I copied all of that. And knock on wood, I was able to preserve 99.9% of all of my productions from back in the day.
Wow. So you can still benefit, as you said, from them to this day. And I know a lot of
Yes,
producers.
because I had to remix the entire Check for You Once album when I put out First Class Citizen with Eddie
Hmm.
in 2002.
Hmm.
Because when I came to the US in '84, I took a little bit of a break, and obviously you come to a new country, you can't tell a man say, boy, me's a record producer, you
Yeah.
can't pay rent, so you have to get a job and you have to assimilate yourself into the society.
Yes.
No, I bought a book called This Business of Music. I read it from cover to cover, and I set up my own publishing company because CB, I wanted to have as much control over my works as possible.
Hmm.
Because the more control you have over your stuff, is the more money, is the more beneficial it is to you. And I wanted to represent the artist in a solid way that say, hey, we have this covered, and we have like a one-stop shopping situation where we have distribution, we have
Yes.
publishing, and all that stuff.
Yes. Yeah, man. And that's the business side of music. And as the seminars that
Uh,
I've been to, people say, "Do you
And
know the
and
word business is bigger than music?" So you
and
better.
and sadly, that is part of the business that we have a lot of weaknesses and a lot of loopholes. All right, let me tell you something now. A lot of artists that pass on and transition to the next to Zion, there's nobody slated as a next of kin or an estate that would channel all those funds to that person or persons. And that's a loophole because the distributor and the producer can just turn around, put that money back in their pocket, and that's a crime.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and that's something we've seen over here where a lot of artists haven't got their affairs in order. And as we're getting to that time in we have to be real here, where a lot of A lot of our people are now passing on. People from the golden era are passing on. And a lot of the artists don't have their affairs in order. We're having to do GoFundMes and all sorts of things where they haven't looked after the business aspect of their life.
Well, CeeBee, you know that there's no pension in the music business. So when in the good times, you have to squirrel away a little funds for the rainy day, right? And I am so sick and tired, and it's like a broken record, deja vu all over again when somebody passes away and they have to be carrying cap in hand and getting a $2 a year. And I mean, come on, man, we need to find a system. That's why my next production, which is called Remembering Our Musical Icons, every penny that I make, I am going to find some way to donate it to the Jamaican Musicians Fund. And I'm going to get Miss Babsy Grange involved to say, hey, here am I as a private individual trying to use my initiative. Maybe somebody else in the private sector can take my lead, follow my lead, and add something, have an insurance policy or something that they can draw off whenever somebody passes away, because I am sick. I am tired of seeing this record being played over and over again.
What I'm going to do now, Trevor, is spring forward in time, because time is running and passing. We've concentrated a lot on your history and your legacy, and we're going to spring forward to, because you're quite active right now in the music business, and you're working with, if people go to your website, they will see that you're on top of your game right here, right now. So, many years on, you're back with a vengeance. And you did say you took a break, and you understand the business now. So on your website, you got a very nice modern website, and you're working with lots of artists, current artists. One of the things I want to touch on right now is that you paid tribute to the late great Sugar Minott. You did an album entitled Sweet Like Sugar. Tell us about that concept. Tell us about your relationship with Sugar Minott.
Well, obviously, the relationship that I had with Sugar Minott was kind of a lifelong association. And when he sadly passed away, I was in shock for a while, and then I came to grips and said, okay, I'm going to do a tribute album. And the first three people I called were Tristan Palmer, Little John, and Tony Tuff, for obvious reasons. Tony Tuff, with Bubbles Howard and Sugar, formed the African Brothers, so that was a no-brainer. Once I got those three guys secured, I started cherry-picking Nereus Joseph, some other guys from the UK, Queen of the Empress, Bonnie Lila, and, Earl Cunningham, Asante Amen, Marcia J. Ball. And these are people that I have worked with or have admired. So it's a 20-track album being distributed by Sony Records, and it's only available digitally right now. And like I said, that was a labor of love for me to turn around and pay tribute to my mentor, the guy that showed me so much about the business, showed me so much love, always have patience to talk to me. And Sugar Minott is a guy that would give you the shirt off his back. That was the kind of relationship I had with Sugar.
So let me play Horace Martin, My Love Is True, from the album Sweet Like Sugar. Going to run a few tracks from the album, just not going to play all the full length of the tracks, but just give people a taste of this particular tribute album to Sugar Minott.
They wouldn't fall in love again. I don't know about that, but to me love it's where it's at. So no matter how many girls should break my heart, yeah, no matter how many girls should tear it apart, and will keep on loving every day of my life. To you, to you, to you. I know my love is true. To you, to you, to you. I know my love is true. Girl, you give me in the morning. Can you give me in the evening? Can you give me in the morning? Can you give me in the evening? Fire, fire, fire. Fire, fire, fire. Fire, fire, fire. Fire, 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 fire. Ooh, right now say, ooh, Babylon, I put on the pressure. Oh yes, hard time pressure. Babylon, I put on the pressure. Oh yes, hard time pressure on this land, on this land. Some can't take it, but they can't leave it, leave it. Some are forced to stay under it. Oh yes, they've got to keep on slaving.
Is a message in what I have to say to you. Old King Cole was a merry old soul was he. But old King Cole lost all his gold, and now he's crying, you see. Don't put your trust in vanity, for it will let you down. Don't put your trust in vanity, or you'll be on the ground. Like Humpty Dumpty sat up on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All of his friends and the money they spent couldn't put Humpty together again. Don't put your trust in vanity. Only Jah could help you and set you free.
What a rough, what a tough, what a rough. Babylon, you just a mash up me life. 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 Well, we're living a rough old life. Starvation, tribulation, trying to keep our dreadlocks down. Oh, what a rough old life. It's hard times. Oh, what a rough old life. A rough old life. Like a dry and empty well, make a human like hell. Oh, what a rough life.
Yes, just listen to a number of tracks from the album Sweet Like Sugar. Oh my goodness, wow. An amazing album, Trevor, an amazing album.
Well, thank you very much, CeeBee. A lot of love, as you can tell. It's just love oozing out of those tracks. And today, Sugar would have been 62 years old. Wow. And it's such a fitting tribute for us to be playing some of his music on this, his Earth Strong.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned to me that going forward, you're looking at doing some other covers, a number of volumes of covers, covering not just one artist on the album, but a variety of artists.
Yeah, they remembering our musical icons volume 1 would have people like Sugar Minott, Jackie Mittoo, Greg Isaacs, Alton Ellis, Larry Marshall, Eddie Fitzroy, Joe Higgs, Delroy Wilson, Phyllis Dillon, Dee Brown, and Slim Smith. Like I said, Chris Ellis did a song, one of his dad's songs. Jarubi, Upton Lindo, Marcia J. Ball, Harriet Martin, Vernon Mayton, quite a wide array of veteran artists have taken part in Volume 1, and we have Volume 2 kind of lining up already, even before Volume 1 has been released. So
but that's good. That's a good thing. You know?
This is another one that's near and dear to my heart, because these are the guys that I grew up listening to. These are the guys that I admired back in the day, and they've done yeoman work to entertain us.
Absolutely. I'm going to play a track called Turning Point by Bunny Lila. What made you cover this? I think it was a Slim Smith was the original on this. What made you cover this particular track?
Well, that was Bunny's idea. As you can tell, about 2015, Harriet Martin introduced me to Bunny Lila and Bucky Joe from the Buzzwalk camp. And I want to say big up to Bucky Joe, Bunny Lila, and all those guys associated with Buzzwalk. They're doing the yeoman work down in Brixton. This is after we did the Baba Boom, which was our first #1 between me and Bunny. And we decided to, we have a few other covers. We had the Breaking Up Rhythm, and he has a cover on that one. So there was Bunny's idea. I cannot take credit for this. I had the rhythm laid and made, that's one of the beauty of the digital age. You can lick a rhythm, send it to London, they voice, and add backup vocals or whatever, and either mix the track or send the track back to me. So I don't even have to jump on an airplane, my youth. I just send my stuff out and, have some backup vocals. Like on Karen's new track, Twiggy did that for me and sent it back to me, and I just rearrange everything and fly it on the timeline in Pro Tools, and we're ready to go.
Wow, digital technology at its best.
Yes, sir. That is a prime example of the digital age that we're living in right now. Where you don't have to be in the same studio when the people are doing their work. But a little caveat to that is that you have to trust. You have to have people that you respect their work and they're serious about their work, and they're not gonna give you second-rate stuff.
Yes, that's a good tip for anyone listening in that is looking at doing this remote working collaboration. So I'm gonna play Turning Point, and then we'll come back and talk some more.
Then my love went wrong, and my heart got hurt. Now I'm standing alone at the turning point, the turning point of my life. I'm a mortal being, just like everyone. To my mother and father, I'm just a son. it's too late. I know, so I live in regret. At the turning point,
As time is against us, I'm just gonna run through some of Trevor Ellis's new productions. Next up, we've got Vernon Maytone, Never Diss, from his album Refreshed.
I am blessed. Thank you, Jaja. I am blessed. There's a new room, sweep clean. But the old room, no the corners. Say amen. There's a new room, sweep clean, boy. But the old room, no the corners. Boy. I know you are this the old. I know you are this the old. Never this the old for the new. Never this the old for the new, no. I know you are this the old. I know you are this the old. Should never this the old for the new. Never this the old for the new, for the new.
Joe Mac, Just Dance.
Don't ever let anyone get you down. It's wasted energy just to frown. Make good your day in spite of the clouds. Be intentional. Intentionally brush them off. Intentionally cut them off. Intentionally dust them out. Intentionally rush them out.
What's it all about? What's it all about?
Denise Peters, I don't wanna cry.
I don't wanna cry no more. You broke my heart before. You put me in a daze for sure. Shut me out and lock the door. You said it once before. This game you play, I can't endure. It hurts deep down inside, baby. Deep down to the core. I don't wanna cry no more. Oh, my heart can't take it.
I've got this pretty little feeling inside when you call my name. Ooh, whenever you're around, this feeling I can't control. Could this be love? Ooh,
Chris de Montague, could this be love?
could this be love? Oh, what a joy whenever you're around. It's so free when it's just you and me. I don't care what people want to say, no. I'll always be there
buts, no maybe. This love is for the taking. Oh, it's real, I know, can't complain, girl.
Chris the Montague just played some of Trevor Elliott's musical ambassador, his new works. Trevor, there's just too much to play. You just got, I mean, it would be days worth of playing, weeks even of playing. So I just thought, you know, we'd be talking quite a lot. I thought, let me just try and play some back-to-back to just give people a taste of, it's just a very, very small taste of what you're about, really. And I would urge...
Well, thank you very much, and that's so kind of you. And just listening back, it just take me back to another place where, you know, I realize how prolific I've been the last couple of years, putting out quality material.
Absolutely.
And, you know, have some of the best musicians and the best artists. I want to big up Damien Kesey, man who reside in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, for building all of my rhythm tracks, and Jerry King, who runs Skylab Studio here in Gainesville, who do all my mixing, just told me that, Trevor, I've changed over to a 64-bit platform just for you, my man, because I want you to have the best, the best quality. I said, you have got to be kidding. No, in all reality, he was planning to do that, but that's just the respect that he has for me, because I give him so much work. So, you know, the brand new, are we going to have time to touch the brand new Karen Slosh?
Lined up next.
Wow, you see, it's like we are on the same page, my youth, because I promised her. You want me to do the lead-in?
Oh, yes, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to hear the world premiere of a brand new Karen Slosh track called Deliver Me. It's on the How Can I Live rhythm, an iconic rhythm made by the man called Dennis Brown. So the next voice you're going to hear coming out of your speakers will be that of the lady from Derby, Karen Slosh. Take it away.
I can see it, I can feel it. So much trouble in the world. Oh Lord, won't you guide me? Guide me. I beg you, please walk beside me. Show me the way to get through it all. Yeah. Deliver me from my enemies. Deliver me. Guide me always. Deliver me.
Karen Schloss, deliver me. Trevor, whoa.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the beautiful background vocals was that of my little songbird, Twiggy.
Yes, bless up Twiggy. Oh, fantastic BVs. Fantastic. Nice package, as you said, on the infamous tune, How Could I Live? And yes, you've provided me with another piece from, is it Eliza J?
Yeah, Lisa J.
Yeah.
That's going to be on the tribute album as well. She's going to be representing Lee Brown on that one.
How could I live? How could I possibly go on if you should say goodbye? Just like a rose, if you don't water it every morning, it will withers any time.
Wow. Yes. Very nice indeed. And thank you for sharing that and giving my listeners the preview of those two tracks, the premiered right here on Chawa Radio. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. Those are just mixed a couple of days, so I figured that I could leave with a little treat, something to whet their musical appetite, so to speak.
Bless up. Well, I'm going to have to wrap it up, Trevor. Would you believe it? We've been talking for 1 hour and 16 minutes. So,
and it just seems like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I've been sitting here reminiscing, and you took me back to Channel One. You took me back to Aquarius Record Shop. You took me back to so many places, playing those mixes, and the combination that you had were superb, my youth. Yeah. Have you ever done this before?
Once or twice.
You would think you are an ace selector, my friend. You had the essence of my work, and you brought everything to the forefront, and I'm eternally grateful to you.
You're absolutely well. Is there anyone you want to bless up before we say goodbye, Trevor?
Yeah, I want to big up Donny Coxon. Donny Coxon is the man who is doing all the graphic, the paintings and stuff, because he's responsible for all those beautiful murals you see down at Youth Promotion on Roberts Crescent down in Kingston.
Okay.
He's a great artist in his own right as well. So he's an artist and an artist, a graphic artist, a muralist, and a recording artist. So
yes,
obviously the Bozwa, Massive, Bucket Joe, Christopher Ellis, Bonnie Lai. I stand ignorant, Sylvie Wonder, the man called Mr. Len Miller, and Vivian Witter. You see, that's the thing now, CeeBee, when you start calling names, you know what I mean? You might say, come in never give me a little shout out. But, like I said, the pleasure was mine, and I had a ball, and anybody want to check me out on Facebook, it's Trevor Elliott, and like you alluded to before, here's a website, www.musicalambassador.com, if you want to purchase some physical vinyl or CDs, and all my works are available on iTunes, CD Baby, Spotify, Amazon.com, you name it. So go out and support our works so that we can continue to do good works.
Yes, well, bless up, Trevor. As I said, the quality, what's amazing is the quality of the productions, consistent throughout the years, absolutely consistent. Amazing catalogue of work, and we must touch base again because we haven't scratched the surface of it's just and I'm looking and I'm like, yeah, well, we spent about 40 minutes dealing with the 80s. So I probably like to do another interview where we focus on what you're about now. So perhaps when volume 1 and volume 2 is around, if we could link up again and just
that sounds like a plan, because I have working on an EP with Marcia J. Ball. We didn't even play Don't Ask My Neighbor, and that's her big single right now.
Too much tunes to play.
We have an album with Joseph Cotton, working on an album with Elisa J, and you might see a little EP with King Bassa here or there. Okay. So,
The return.
The return of King Bassa, because we're just having so much fun. We're not troubling nobody. We're just do one thing, and if you like it, you like it. If not, that's not going to stop us.
One life to live. One life to live.
Yes, sir. If you can have fun and enjoy yourself, even at your own expense, something is sadly lacking in your life.
Yes, and I completely agree with that. Anyway, as time is against us, I'm going to bid you goodbye, and thank you once again for gracing my listeners with the wonderful music that you've put together over the years, and we must do it again.
Well, cheerio, mate. You have a good time, and go sit and have a cup of tea.
Cup of tea. Cup of tea. You could
hey, my mom did her nursing training in Lewisham at Bromley.
Oh, okay,
in
not
camp,
far from
so,
me. Yeah.
I'm versed in the little nuances, steak and kidney pie and whatever.
Fish and chips. You must know about fish and chips.
Oh, that's a staple, man.
Yeah.
That's a staple.
Friday, especially Friday.
Anyway, CeeBee, you've been a trooper. You did yeoman's work. You were one step ahead of me at every turn, and I must give you credit for doing excellent legwork, sir.
Bless up, Trevor.
Thank you again to Mr. Philip Gadd, the mover and shaker, the man who make things happen.
Absolutely. Bless up, Philip Gadd 59, right here for setting this wonderful.
The big bad captain, and Bionic Steel, all of my DJ them,
Bless up to the whole
respect,
crew, whole team. Okay then, Trevor, we'll talk again.
All right, sir.
Bless.
Well, good.